Hello, students. Hope so you are fine and you are doing well in your studies. Today, our topic of discussion is the biological molecules. So, today we will discuss about different biological molecules like carbohydrates, proteins, lipids, fats, etc. Biological molecules actually are that molecule which are present in human bodies or in the animal bodies or in the living organisms, or we can say the building blocks of the living organisms are called as the biological molecules. Carbon is the element present in all the biological molecules. Carbon atom can join together to form a chain or rings, or that ability of carbon uh, with attachment the other carbon atoms. This is called actually the catenation. The ability of carbon to form long chains or rings is called catenation. So, biological molecules can be very large and often regarded as the macromolecules, often constructed of repeating subunits called as a monomer, and the structure that is formed after the polymerization is called as the polymer. Other element always present are oxygen and hydrogen. Here I can add the one thing in this paragraph. Nitrogen is something sometimes present when macromolecules are made of long chains of monomer held together by the chemical bond. They are known as a polymers. Actually, we can say long chain of the monomer held together by the chemical bonds. Not always, but often this structure is called as a polymer. Like carbohydrates are the examples of the like polysaccharides, and the disaccharides or the oligosaccharides are the examples of the polymers, while the monomers or the monosaccharides like glucose, galactose, fructose, these are not the examples of the polymers actually. So we can add something else here. As we can say, the fats are not polymers, even though they are made up of large molecules. They are regarded as a macromolecule, but then they are not the actually polymers, because they are made up of the heterogeneous group of compounds. Fat are actually the heterogeneous group of compounds which are not regarded as the polymers. Carbohydrates or oftenly the polysaccharides or oligosaccharides or disaccharides are the polymers, but not the monomers, and not the monosaccharides are the polymers. And we can added one thing else: the fats are also not the polymers. We can say proteins are examples of polymer. Amino acids are not example of polymer, and amino acids are regarded as a monomer. And in case of DNA or RNA nucleic acid, we can say the polynucleotide chain is called as a polymer, not the nucleotide. Nucleotide is the monomer, and the polynucleotide chain, which is actually DNA, deoxyribonucleic acid, or the ribonucleic acid, RNA. This is the example of polymers. Poly means many. Examples are polysaccharides, chains of single sugars, units such as glucose, proteins, and nucleic acids. You can say fat are not example of the polymer or the poly. Molecule constructed of the lots of small units often have different properties from their subunits, making them suitable for specific functions in living things. For example, glucose is very soluble and has no strength, but cellulose, a macromolecules, is insoluble and very tough, ideal for the formation of cell wall around the plant cells. Cell need chemical substance to make new cytoplasm and to reproduce itself. Therefore, organisms must take in food to supply the cells with these substances. Of course, it is not quite as simple as this. Most cells have specialized function and so have many different needs. However, all cells need water, oxygen, salts, and food, and all the cell consists of water, protein, lipid, carbs, salts, and vitamins. We can start with the carbohydrate, our first biological molecule. We can also study proteins and fats or the nucleic acids, but first of all we have to study the carbohydrates. Actually, the name is carbohydrates. We can say these are hydrates of carbons. What it is mean? Actually, the hydrates of carbon means carbon and hydrogen. Of course, there will be oxygen. Their general formula is oftenly regarded as, we can say, CH2O whole bracket N. It means the ratio of hydrogen to oxygen is the same as in the water, and this is the structure general formula for the carbohydrates. So but the things are not so simple. We can start with the these may be simple soluble sugar or complex material like starch and cellulose, but all carbohydrates contain carbon, hydrogen and oxygen, three things. Commonly occurring simple sugar is glucose, which has a chemical formula, and you all know the chemical formula of the glucose. Here I can add the majorly two to three things. Here these are represented but not in the listed way. Actually, I am saying there are very basic things. Monosaccharides, actually monosaccharides are the basic units from carbon 3 to many or carbon 20 or many thousands. So these are actually the monomers, not the polymers. These are called as the monosaccharides. The word saccharide also mean the used for carbohydrates. So the second one is a disaccharide. Disaccharide means in which two components of saccharides are present. For example, there must be glucose and glucose and fructose, glucose and galactose. So we can say disaccharides are made up of two saccharides in which we can say one glycosidic linkage is present, because in polysaccharides, or we can say in carbohydrates, there is a linkage that is known as uh, the name of the linkage is glycosidic linkage. So we can say the polysaccharides containing many saccharides. Saccharide actually the word that is used for the smallest unit of the carbs. So these are three things. So glucose molecule is often in the form of ring. uh, Actually, the ring structure, it is not present always, but it is present only in solution form. We can say only in solution form the glucose show this form, or we can simply show this form. Two molecules of glucose can combine to form a molecule of maltose. Actually, this is the actually maltose formula, and we can say you can remember the three disaccharides by naming mls, milliliters. MLS, maltose, lactose and sucrose, these all are examples of the disaccharide. And which are the form? So sugars with a single carbon ring are called as a monosaccharide, glucose and fructose. These sugars with the two carbon rings in their molecules are called as the disaccharides, because it is made of two saccharides. One is glucose and one is also glucose. So this is the maltose. So maltose, sucrose and lactose are all example of disaccharide. Mono and disaccharide are readily soluble in water. When many glucose molecules are joined together, the carbohydrate is called polysaccharide. Poly mean many and saccharides mean the units. So many units are present of the in the polysaccharide. Glycogen is the example, and the starch is the example. Cellulose is the example. Chitin is the example, and so many. Glycogen is a polysaccharide that forms a food storage substance in many animal cells. The starch molecule is made up of hundreds of glucose molecules joined together to form a long chain. Starch is an important storage substance in the plastids of the plant cell. Starch is actually the storage form in plant, and glycogen is the animal starch. The other name of the glycogen is the animal starch. So they are the sites where molecule like starch are made and stored. One familiar example of plastid is the chloroplast, that is very important. And so many other, chromoplast, leucoplast. Cellulose consists of even longer chains of glucose molecules. The chain molecules are grouped together to form microscopic fibers, which are laid down in layers to form the cell wall in the plant cell. Polysaccharides are not readily soluble in water. So we can say as the number of carbon is increasing, so the solubility of the carbs is decreasing. So glycogen, starch and cellulose, chitin, these are most probably these are the insoluble in water, and that's the reason chitin is present in the cell wall as well, cell wall of the fungi, and cellulose is present in the cell wall of the plant cell. So that's the reason they are present as in the cell wall. So this was all about today's lecture. In the next lecture we will discuss about the fats, the other biological molecule which are not the polymer but they are the heterogeneous group of compounds. So please subscribe my channel and press the bell icon so you can see my other videos to support me. Please subscribe and press the bell icon and comment and like all the things, because it takes too much effort for the very clear and crystal concepts for me. And for me because it takes too much time and too much struggle, so it's my right to be praised and to be given much appraised, for, so that I can get more subscribers. Thank you.